Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and back in July, a friend of mine who is also an admin in my large Facebook group, we started this Patina tumbler together while she was in town visiting with me, and I finally have got this bad boy finished. So it only took me, like 3 months to finish up? Something like that? Yeah, I think 3 months. So Susie is here in the video with me, and we got started with this prep tumbler, and we spray painted it with Satin Espresso Rust-Oleum 2X spray paint. So once the spray paint on your prep tumbler is dry, you just take a chip brush. This is, I think, either a 3/4 inch or a 1 inch chip brush. You want it to be like really coarse. And then we took some Patina Effect paste. We've got blue and brass. It comes in a 3-pack. There's also a minty type color on there. You can get this on Amazon, and I will have it linked down in the description below. But in the 3-pack, you get a mint, you get blue, and you get brass. So Susie is working on the cup here. She's basically showing me how she made this tumbler, because she has made it. I loved it, and I was like, hey, I want you to show me while you're in town. So she came in town. Susie's from Arizona. She came to Florida back in July, and we started this tumbler together. So what she's doing here is she is dipping this chip brush into this blue patina paste. And like I said, I will have this paste linked down in the description box below. Got it on Amazon, and that way it's easier for you to find. So she's just brushing it on, and you want it to look really distressed. See how you can see the brown paint through the patina paste? That's exactly what you want. You want to be able to see it through there, because basically you want it to look like really distressed. And this paste is really thick. It's really thick, it dries thick, but it ends up giving this cup such a cool effect. So you can see me hovering in the background watching Susie create this cup, because I absolutely loved it and I wanted to learn how to make it. So like I said, she started this cup in this tutorial, and then I ended up finishing it up later on in the tutorial. And Susie is, I mentioned this earlier, she is an admin in my Facebook group. We have an awesome Facebook group called Tumblers, Epoxy, Pins, and More by Christy's Custom Creations. So I have that link down in the description box also if you are interested in checking out our group. We've got a lot of really awesome crafters in there, and we are everyone is so supportive and so incredibly talented. So be sure and check it out. So she is brushing this paste on and just getting where pretty good coverage on it, but you want to still be able to see the brown kind of peeking through, and it gives it like a really distressed look. It makes it look really super cool. It's actually a little bit more teal than blue, but it's called blue. So we are going to set this up to the side and let it dry. You want it to completely dry before you move on to the next step. So it didn't take very long to dry. I think we only waited about 15 minutes or so. We were live in our Facebook group the entire time we were recording this. So this next color that we're going to go in with, it's part of the 3-pack, and it's the brass color. And she's just peeling back the lid here. You do not need much of this one at all. So we have started with a fresh chip brush. It does not have any of the blue on it. And she's just going to go in and just brush on this brass. Now the brass is like, it really, really pops on this blue color. So you don't want to do the whole cup. See how she's just going in and doing just some like random stripes or strips or whatever, just here and there, just really giving the cup a little bit of a shimmer from it and just adding some texture to that color. You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way with this stuff, and you just brush it on just a little bit here and there, and it just creates a really cool patina look. So after about 10 minutes or so, that patina or that brass color was nice and dry, and now we've got some Cosmic Shimmer Flakes, and these are, the color here is called Harvest Moon. You can also get these on Amazon, and we've got a little bit of tacket mixed up with some water. So basically you mix it like you would with the tacket method, like you're applying glitter to a cup via the tacket method, and it works really good with like a mascara brush, but I had this little like bottle brush. It's good for cleaning out my kid's bottles, and he doesn't drink bottles anymore. So I didn't really need it. So we jacked this out of the kitchen, and she's just brushing it on. Like I said, it works really good with a mascara brush because it doesn't completely give you like a solid line. It gives you like little strips, streaks almost. And so just a little bit here and there, she's brushing it on, and just some random different spots, a little bit over some of those gold, that brassy stuff she put on there. And I mean, just play with it, have a good time with it, put it on however you want it. And then once that's done, we're gonna put the flakes on, and it gives this cup such a cool look. Okay, so she's pretty happy with where she's got all of the tacket laid down. So we've got a piece of butcher paper down because these gold flakes are so flaky and fine that they will literally get everywhere. So she's just going in, we put the butcher paper down to kind of help contain the mess just a little bit. So she's just going in with these gold flakes, and she's laying it down onto where she put that tacket down. We gave the tacket probably about 5 or 10 minutes to dry, and now we're placing, you can still see where it's at because it kind of looks a little bit wet there. It's not wet, it's just sticky from the tacket. So she's just laying those flakes on there, and then we're actually gonna brush them off here in just a little bit, and you'll get to see that, but she's just laying them on and flattening them down, just pushing them down, and then brushing with her fingers a little bit, any excess. As you can see there. And the nice thing, the color of these flakes, you can get gold flakes, silver flakes, rose gold flakes. These flakes here, like I said, they're called Harvest Moon, and a little bit goes a really, really long way. But it's kind of got some different colors mixed in there. It's got like a bronze, a green, a gold. It's got a bunch of different colors in it, which really gives this cup a neat look. While Susie is working on putting all these little flakes on here, I did want to mention, we did not add any glitter, any of my KCC glitter to this tumbler. We did end up adding a Marabou alcohol ink additive that has it's called Rainbow. It has a little bit of a shimmer to it, like a super, super, super fine glitter mixed into the alcohol ink. And we added a little bit to the epoxy. You'll see that here in a little bit, but if you haven't checked out my glitter line, be sure to check it out. It's kccglitter.com, and I will have that link down in the description box below. We've got some really beautiful colors in there, so be sure to check it out. Alright, so it looks like she's pretty happy with where she's got her gold flakes placed, and so we'll just show them off here to the camera a little bit. And as you can see, they're still kind of like poking up a little bit. It's not super smooth, so she's just going in with a really coarse chip brush. This chip brush is like extra coarse because I use it for my wood grain cups. So she's just going in and just brushing them like really hard because it helps to knock off any of the excess foil that's hanging on, and it also helps just make it a little bit more rustic looking. All right, so that's it. Look how cool that looks. It gives this cup so much texture, and it's so simple, but it gives it so much texture, and it's so easy. So she's gonna go in and just brush it off a little bit more here and there. Make sure that she's got it good and knocked off. And if you brush it nice and hard, it gives like some streaks inside that foil. It looks pretty cool. So Susie is a perfectionist like I am, so she is super checking over this tumbler, make sure she didn't miss any spots where she had put the tacket down, and just make sure it is all perfect. And she actually found a little spot where she needed a little bit more of the flakes, where she had missed putting it on there, so she's going to go back in and put that on there. And I do want to mention, I am not making these tumblers for order. I don't take orders very often anymore because I try to mainly focus on creating tutorials for my subscribers and my viewers and my glitter website. So I will link Susie's Facebook page down in the description box. If you are interested in purchasing one and don't want to make one for yourself, she can hook you up. So I will have her link down in the description box below. Right now I have got 30 milliliters of Tumblerpoxy epoxy mixed up, and I'm going to mix in this Marabou alcohol ink. It is a clear alcohol ink. It's called Rainbow. You can get it on Amazon, and I will have that linked in the description box below. And I put about 4 or 5 drops into my 30 milliliters of epoxy, and I'm just going to take my popsicle stick and stir it up. And what that does is it creates a beautiful shimmer to this tumbler. We didn't want to make it a glitter tumbler, but we did want it to sparkle a little bit. I mean, who doesn't love sparkle? All of us, most of us crafters love us some sparkle. So I've got that mixed up in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply this epoxy. There was no need to let anything dry after adding the flakes because the tacket was dry. It's just sticky, it holds the flakes. So immediately after finishing up the flakes, we were able to mix up the epoxy and put it on the tumbler here. So I am just applying the epoxy, getting really good coverage, making sure that I'm not missing any spots at all. And once I get my whole 30 milliliters of epoxy on here, I get good coverage, I'm going to start with one finger. I start at the bottom of the cup. You see me do this in all my videos, and I swipe up the cup, smoothing the epoxy down as the tumbler turns. And y'all, the colors, once we put epoxy on this tumbler, the colors were just like bam. I mean, they just popped like crazy. It is so pretty. So now I've got my heat torch, or my little heat gun, and I'm just going to make a super quick pass across the tumbler, which is going to pop any little micro bubbles that are trying to hang out in the epoxy, and it's also going to help that epoxy lay nice and smooth. I got my little blowtorch heat gun on Amazon, and I will also have that link down in the description box. Pretty much everything that I use, most of it I buy on Amazon, so I will have all of it linked down below. So this is just some painter's tape, and what I'm doing is we are going to spray paint and cover up this beautiful cup. We're gonna spray paint a small portion of this tumbler, and that is a Tumbler Cradle. I got it on Etsy from Hootyful Creations. I will also have that link down below. I love using that thing because it keeps my tumblers in place while I'm taping them off or applying decals or anything like that. So I swear by that Tumbler Cradle, and I will have that link below if you are interested in checking it out. So basically what I'm doing here is we are going to paint a portion of this cup white because we are going to add a water slide to it. We're going to paint it actually black and then white, but you'll see that in the video here in just a little bit. But I don't want to get overspray on the rest of the cup. I don't want to tape off more than necessary, or I don't want to spray more than necessary. So I want to tape this cup off so that it creates less work for me down the road. So as you can see, I'm just taping anywhere that's not going to have spray paint. I'm taping it off right now. So the spot that I want to leave is, I basically want it to be big enough for the image that I'm gonna put on there, because I'm gonna put a clear water slide on. And so I want the white background to show through the clear water slide, because if I put a clear water slide on this blue background, it's not gonna show very well. So I've got this taped off, and then I'm actually going to distress it here in just a little bit. So now I've got some Krylon black spray paint. I personally am a fan of Rust-Oleum, but Krylon was all I had. So I have spray painted this section black. Once that was completely dry, I went in with some white matte spray paint. Like I said, I prefer Rust-Oleum. Krylon was all I had. So once that was completely dry, I went ahead and pulled the tape. So it usually takes about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how warm it is outside and all that, for the spray paint to dry. This spray paint gave me such a hard time because it was raining out. The weather was horrible, so it gave me a hard time. I really like to use Rust-Oleum, but like I said, Krylon was all that I had. Rust-Oleum, I just kind of feel like gets better coverage, but this is what I had to use. So we are pulling the tape, and you will see how we are going to leave it's basically going to leave the area that we spray painted. And this is a much longer video than what I usually do. Usually I try to keep my videos to about 20 minutes long, but there were so many like little different steps and stuff to create this stunning tumbler that it ended up being a 30-minute long video, so y'all bear with me. So usually whenever you make these tumblers, you go in fairly quickly and you remove the spray paint. I waited about a month because I have been a procrastinator with this cup. That image that I just laid down over it, that is the image that I printed on my clear water slide. And I printed that image on Blingasm water slide paper. It is a clear water slide paper. I love it. I will put a link for it down in the description box. It is the best water slide paper that I have found. It's awesome. It's my favorite. So what I'm doing here is I'm going in with some acetone. I've got acetone and a paper towel, and I'm just basically distressing the edges. So remember how we painted black first and then we painted the white over it? By doing that, it gives it more of a distressed look. So as I remove the white and black spray paint, you will start seeing the black spray paint kind of peeking around the edges of the white, and it gives it just such a really neat look. I love the look of it, and it just stresses it even more. So basically, don't be like me. Don't wait a month after spray painting to go in with your acetone and soften the edges and distress it and everything. Don't wait a month. Do it like do it that day if you're able to, or even the next day, because when you wait that long, it makes it a lot harder to remove that spray paint, because it gives that spray paint plenty of time to dry. And so you have to put in a lot more elbow grease to remove it. So don't be like me, don't procrastinate, and just go ahead and go in there and distress it and remove it. So as I work my way around the cup, you see that black line that's starting to form around the white spray paint. That is such a cool look, and it just fits in so perfectly with this cup. And I could have gone in with that dark brown espresso spray paint, but I just thought that the black was more more fitting for it. It distressed it a little bit more. So what I'm doing here is you don't want it to be like a perfect circle or a perfect square or anything like that. You want to go in some different areas and just make the little gaps kind of start to climb up the spray paint. I don't know if that even makes sense, but you do go through a few paper towels, or you can use a rag. I like to use paper towels for this because I could throw them away and I'm not ruining rags. And you will have some of the black, the darker spray paint underneath. You will have that basically come down onto the white, which that's not a big deal. If you just give it a quick swipe with the acetone, you don't want to wear it out when you're cleaning up the white section. You don't want to just swipe and swipe and swipe, but you can give it a quick swipe and it will help to remove that black that's hanging out on there. And then also, you'll see me here in just a little bit, I'll go in with some 91% rubbing alcohol, and that helps to remove that little bit of black spray paint that's trying to basically sit on the white. It helps remove it without really removing the white. So I'm comparing my image, and I did end up distressing it a little bit too much down on the bottom, and my wording on the bottom where it says act like a lady or start acting like a lady, it actually did hang over the edges just a little bit, but it wasn't a big deal. It still looked pretty cool. So I'm pretty happy with my little white spot here. So I'm just wiping all around it and getting off any excess spray paint that basically tried to smear. And then I'm just going in and making some quick swipes over this white to try to pull off any of the black that is sitting on the white. And I do work on the edges just a little bit more. I clean up all around the outside of it, because you don't want the excess spray paint where it's like smeared from removing it. You don't want that hanging out. So just clean it up, make it look nice and pretty. And then you'll see me here in just a minute. I'm comparing it again. So now I've got some 91% alcohol just from Walmart. It's the Equate brand. And I'm going in there and I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and cleaned up and pretty. I'm starting on the white, and then I will work my way around the edges of it too on the epoxy surface, and just wiping it down really good. Make sure it's nice and pretty. Alright, so I am happy with how that looks. Look how cool and pretty that is, y'all. So it is time for a coat of epoxy. Some people like to put water slides right over spray paint. I don't. I find that water slides go on a lot easier if you put them on over a coat of epoxy. So I am going in with a coat of epoxy. I only have 20 milliliters of epoxy mixed up here because I don't need a big giant, I don't need a real thick coat of it. I just need enough on there to make this thing nice and smooth. So y'all, I lied. I have 30 milliliters of epoxy mixed up here. I've got it in my bigger cup. So it is 30 milliliters of epoxy here. And I'm just going in and creating a nice and good coat of epoxy on this tumbler, getting good coverage. I didn't use the full 30. So I did use about 20. As you can see, I set probably about 10 milliliters off to the side. So used about 20 milliliters of epoxy, but I did mix up 30. So once I've got good coverage, I'm doing what I did before. I'm taking my one finger and I'm swiping up the cup, starting at the bottom of the cup and working my way up as the cup spins, making sure that epoxy is nice and smooth. And then I'm going to go in with my blowtorch, and I'm just going to torch the bottom and then all around the sides, moving quickly as the cup spins. Now for the first half of this cup, I used regular Tumblerpoxy. Since I'm procrastinated so bad, Tumblerpoxy has now come out with Tumblerpoxy 2.0. So for the remainder of this tumbler, I am using Tumblerpoxy 2.0. And y'all, I have no idea why this portion of this video is so dang blurry. It clears up here in just a minute, but it is so incredibly blurry. So because this is a curved tumbler, this image is not going to lay flat very well. So I cut the lettering away from the image here, and the image says, hide your crazy and start acting like a lady. It's got like some cowboy boots. No, not cowboy boots. Sorry. It's got some pistils, it looks like, and it has some sunflowers. It's just a really cute, kind of like a country rustic design. It goes really well with this tumbler here. So really cute design, but I did trim closely around the flower design part in the middle, and I cut the lettering away from it because I wanted it to lay flat, because since it's sitting right here on the curved portion of the cup. So this is clear water side. I print it with my inkjet printer, and I have a HP inkjet printer. I printed on the clear inkjet waterside paper, like I mentioned earlier. It's by Blingasm, and I seal it. So I use Rust-Oleum 2X clear to seal my waterside paper, and I go in with 4 coats. My very first 2 coats are extremely thin coats. Now my epoxy, it wasn't like quite as dry as I should have had it. The Tumblerpoxy 2.0 dries really quickly, but I only gave it about 4 hours to dry before I decided to go in and put my water slide design on, because I was anxious and I wanted to get this this tutorial out there for y'all. So I wanted it out today. So that's why now we're clear. So my video has cleared up. It's no longer ridiculously blurry. I don't know why it did that, but so I'm going in. I just have a cotton washcloth, and some people like to use the little silicone squeegee brushes. I don't. I like to put my water slide on, mash it down with my cotton washcloth, and then I take my finger inside my washcloth and I just spread it down, and that is what I have found works for me. So since I had cut the lettering off of the image, I'm lining the lettering back up to the flower design that's in the middle, and I am just spreading it down with my cotton washcloth, and I am making sure to get out any air bubbles, any water bubbles, just push out all the water from underneath it. And then we're going to go in with the bottom lettering, and like I said, it says hide your crazy and start acting like a lady. This design here, I think I made it about 4 inches wide, and then whatever the length was, I just kept it proportionate. And Susie actually has this design. She doesn't have it for sale anywhere as of right now, but she did create this design here. So I got it from her. If you contact her on her Facebook page, like I said, I'll have it linked down in the description box below. I'm sure she can tell you how you can go about getting this design here. So there we have it. I am happy with how that looks. It looks so good. So I'm going to let my water slide design here dry. I let it dry for about 2 hours or so before going in with my last coat of epoxy. So now it is time for my last coat of epoxy. For this last coat, I have got 30 milliliters of my Tumblerpoxy 2.0 mixed up. And I am also, if you see me looking off to the side here, I'm also talking to my Facebook group because I'm live in my Facebook group while I'm working on this. I'm chattering with them and crafting. So if you see me looking to the side, that's why. Now, I found an air bubble. That's why I took my craft knife and I just poked a teeny tiny little hole in my water slide, and I mashed it down, and it got rid of that air bubble. So if you're doing it before and you find an air bubble before you apply your epoxy, just take a craft knife. You don't have to do a slit and cut it real big or anything like that. Just poke the tiniest little hole in there and then mash it down, and it will get rid of that air bubble. So I'm doing exactly what you've seen me do over and over again. I'm going in with this epoxy here, and I am just getting really good coverage. I don't think I didn't even end up using the full 30 milliliters. I think I probably, this Tumblerpoxy 2.0 is a thick epoxy, and so it gets really good coverage, and you actually don't even need as much epoxy as you usually would because it's such a thick epoxy. You basically need less coats. So once I've got good coverage on there, I'm starting with my one finger at the bottom, swiping my way up the tumbler, smoothing out the epoxy as the cup turns, making sure that it is nice and smooth. Swipe across the bottom there, and then it's time to go in with my heat gun, my blowtorch, and I keep saying heat gun, y'all, it's a blowtorch. Go in with my blowtorch and pop any micro bubbles. I find that the blowtorch works so much better for popping micro bubbles because that flame just very lightly kisses that epoxy, and it murders those micro bubbles. It's awesome. So highly prefer a blowtorch over a heat gun when it comes to taking out micro bubbles. But y'all, look how beautiful this cup is. I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite designs. So if you don't want to make it and you just want to order it, you can check out Susie's Facebook page. I have it linked down in the description box below. So that turned out absolutely stunning. And as always, I want to say a huge thank you to my awesome Patreon members. Y'all mean the world to me. Your support is everything. Thank you so much for being so awesome and so incredibly supportive. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to see more tutorials like it. And as always, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care. Bye.